Hey guys, my name is Aldas, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about Sebastian Vettel and how 2019 could be a make or break season for not only him, but his career in Formula One as well. Now, don't forget, if you enjoy the content here, then like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And yeah, let's get into it. Now, Sebastian is undoubtedly one of the all-time greats in Formula One, being a 4 times world champion with 52 wins and 55 pole positions. Not only that, making the move to Ferrari in 2015, he has also been a championship contender in the last 2 years. In 2017, finishing in second place with 317 points, and in 2018, again finishing second with 320 points. Now, if we look back at 2018 and actually the past 2 years as well for Sebastian Vettel, he has done very, very well. In 2018, he had 5 wins and 5 pole positions and actually managed to challenge for a championship. And despite people saying that he should be dropped and that he didn't have a good season and that Kimi Räikkönen had a good season, I completely disagree with that. At least he actually challenged Lewis Hamilton. Kimi at no point of the season actually looked like he would even be a contender in both 2017 and 18. And he only got 1 win and 1 pole position in 2018. So, in my opinion, I find it kind of ludicrous that people think that Vettel had a bad season and that Kimi had a good one. I mean, Kimi had a good season for him because he just has not been good enough, or he has not been as quick as Vettel ever since he came in at Ferrari, actually. Even in the first race in Australia of 2015, Vettel got on the podium while Kimi just wasn't there. So Vettel has had the advantage on Kimi since he's come to Ferrari, and that has been very, very obvious. And yeah, 2018 has been a good campaign for Sebastian Vettel, but no doubt there has been definitely some potholes in the road for Sebastian Vettel, and especially beginning at Germany. That is the one place where we know the championship took a turn. And actually, if you look at the gap between Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel and how it increased after Germany, that is the one place where it all sort of started. It was actually backwards and forwards. The championship up until Germany was so close. It was such a great championship up until then, and then obviously with Vettel crashing, it all changed. Now, once again, I've said this over and over again, and I've already made a video actually about this, which I don't think it was all Sebastian Vettel's fault in 2018. I genuinely think Ferrari should take a very big amount of blame. They did not manage their drivers very well and did not put the team behind Sebastian Vettel to win the championship. That was their fault, but Sebastian, of course, still made the mistakes. And then we had all those crashes in Monza, and then, of course, with Daniel Ricciardo in the USA, with Max Verstappen in Japan. So it was definitely a lackluster second part of the season, and that's what people remember most about Vettel in 2018. They only look at his second half of the season and judge him like that. They all say, "Oh, he's had a horrible season. Look at all the crashes he's had." But really, when you look at his entire season, and even especially compared to his teammate, he had a good 2018. He just wasn't quick enough and just couldn't, he just didn't have the mental ability to fight with Lewis Hamilton because he was also up against his team as well. We could see he had a bit of friction in Monza with the qualifying incident. And like I said, the team just did not put 100% behind him. Now, it's very funny considering that this is Ferrari and they've always been, a one-driver team. I mean, Michael Schumacher and Fernando Alonso, 2 of the greatest examples. How many times did their teammates have to literally bend over backwards for them to go and win? So it's quite funny, actually, that it's almost the opposite. And even though Ferrari, like I said, did have a couple of strategy calls that definitely went towards Vettel, that it was really a half-assed job, to be honest. You either have to go 100% behind your number one driver, or you don't do it at all. There's no point of doing some ridiculous strategy in China to leave Kimi out just to give Vettel a little bit of an advantage. You go 100%, like Mercedes pretty much did with Lewis Hamilton. And despite people were going to criticize Mercedes for that, they won the championship. Simple as that. And they have 5 times world champions now. So you can see why it is very important to have your team behind you, and clearly a number one driver which Sebastian Vettel is. Now, like I alluded to earlier, in 2018, Sebastian was slated by the media and the fans. People were calling him a failure. They were saying that he was cracking under the pressure and that he should be kicked out of Ferrari. He doesn't deserve a seat, which I think is just so horrible because he is such a quality driver. And what's interesting is that I'm just in the middle of my Rise of Red Bull series, and in part 2, when I was researching it just reminded me of how good this guy is and how underrated he really was, and still is actually, and how hated he was in his Red Bull days, and he's even hated now. He is such a good driver. He is one of the most underrated world champions in Formula One history. People just don't realize it. They like to make excuses like the car was, quicker than anyone else, and that his teammate was not as good. But it's the same. Every single race winner has the best car. Michael Schumacher had the best car. Sebastian Vettel had the best car, and arguably Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes, it's backwards and forwards between them and Ferrari now, but they both have the best car, Seb and Lewis. So that's not a factor. He is a great racing driver, Sebastian Vettel, and massively underrated, and should not deserve the hate that so much of the media and the fans are giving him. Now, despite all of this, there are big changes in 2019, and the reason why I think it could be a career-defining season and a make-or-break season for him is because of these changes and because of Charles Leclerc. Now, this is going to be a very interesting dynamic in 2019, and it is really going to test Sebastian. And like I said, it's going to make or break him, because when you think about Sebastian Vettel, or when I think about Sebastian Vettel, he's always managed to outperform his teammates and be the number one driver, except for 2014, where in the first year that Daniel Ricciardo came in, who of course replaced Mark Webber, who was himself not a pushover, but Sebastian did have the edge over him. But when Daniel Ricciardo came in, he managed to beat Vettel straight away. Yeah, he was the only one that won races for Red Bull in that season, and Sebastian just looked like he lacked confidence and could almost not match this new sort of young gun in Formula 1 as Daniel Ricciardo was. And it is going to be so interesting to see if it is going to be the same in 2019 for Sebastian Vettel. This is going to be I think the Ferrari dynamic is going to be the biggest story of 2019 and the most that I'm looking forward to in 2019. How is Charles Leclerc going to do, and how is Vettel going to stack up to him in 2019? I mean, Charles Leclerc, in my opinion, I do believe the hype. I have hyped him up because he has been very impressive, and I think, to me anyway, some people think that he has not been that impressive in 2018 and that he's a little bit overrated, and that's fine. But to me, he has shown that he deserves to be in that Ferrari. I mean, he's outqualified Marcus Ericsson immensely and outscored him, I don't even know how many times, maybe more than 4 times. So to me, he deserves that Ferrari seat. But in terms of Sebastian Vettel, it is such a big 2019. He needs to beat Leclerc, because if he doesn't, then he is in serious, serious trouble of being just being almost outcasted by Ferrari. We've already seen big changes not only in the drivers for 2019 but also in the management as well. Maurizio Bene is now out, and Matteo Binotto is in as the team principal. My quick thoughts on that is I think it's going to be really interesting to see. I don't think there's going to be too much change, because I do think that Matteo Binotto knows the team, and he's been around for a long time at Ferrari, more than 20 years, so he knows the team. But I do think it was harsh on Maurizio Bene, because ever since he joined the team, they've been on the up. And I think it was partly due to, again, Ferrari not winning the title in 2018, despite having arguably the best car at many points of the season, and that's probably the biggest reason he got kicked out. But he did a really good job. I still think this is a very, very harsh on him. But at the end of the day, he's the guy that runs the team, and also did not make the call to give Sebastian Vettel the number one. So there's obviously big changes at Ferrari, and they're clearly, the boardroom is not at all scared of not only axing drivers, but also axing the management as well. So once again, big pressure for 2019 for Sebastian Vettel. Is it going to be a repeat of 2014? Because I think we're about to find out how strong is Sebastian Vettel really? How strong is he mentally, and how has he evolved as a driver? Is he going to make the same mistake and just be down and lose against Charles Leclerc? Or is he going to stand up like he did not do in 2014 and show Charles Leclerc that he is a 4-time world champion for a reason? He is not only an immense racing driver, but a great qualifier as well, and he's going to put that young guy in his place from day one. It's certainly looking like that in terms of 2018, because there was actually, and many people don't really talk about this, but there was a little bit of fighting talk from Sebastian Vettel about Charles Leclerc. Obviously, the media were all over him about the move that Charles is making up to Ferrari, and Sebastian Vettel was a little bit like, I'm not scared. He kept it low key, but he also gave the sort of vibe that he's not scared and that he's not going to be, intimidated by Charles. So this is going to be a great dynamic in 2019, and again, a career-defining season. Like I said, it's going to be make or break for Sebastian Vettel. Now, to end the video, I want to talk about the different scenarios that I think could be possible with this driver combination. But number one, and probably the most likely, is that Sebastian Vettel will still outperform Charles Leclerc. I don't think by a lot. I don't think it'll be a whitewash, anything like with Kimi Räikkönen, especially in qualifying. Kimi was a lot more close in the races, but in qualifying it was a whitewash. In terms of 2017 and 2018. I don't think it will be like that in 2019 because Charles is a quick qualifier. But the most likely option is that Vettel would just be quicker than Charles and perhaps again challenge Hamilton for the championship and maybe even win it. Maybe he even will step up and put Lewis in his place, because Lewis has sort of had the upper hand really over Vettel in the past couple of years, and it could be a very interesting season to see maybe Sebastian Vettel being crowned 5-time world champion. So that's probably, in my opinion, the most likely that Sebastian will step up. He'll have a little bounce back because he did have a rough end to 2018, but we know how fast he is when he's really on a roll, as we've seen in 2017 and the start of 2018 as well. Now, the other option is that Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc could finish actually quite level on points, maybe one a little bit ahead of the other, but very, very close, and the same in qualifying. In that case, I think a little bit of questions will be raised about Vettel, but, you know, undeniably, it'll be a great driver pairing, and perhaps that's the best option for them, because then it means that there's no friction between the two drivers, as there would be a level on performance and points and stuff like that, and maybe even win the Constructors quite comfortably, because Valtteri Bottas is also a little bit under the pressure, but that's for a completely different video. And the final option would be if Charles Leclerc really comes out of the stable and, let's just say, asserts his dominance as the new force in Formula 1, up there with Max Verstappen, up there with all the brand new drivers, you know, Ocon and Gasly as well, as a real up-and-coming star. I mean, he already is, but he could be that next level star and maybe even jump Max Verstappen due to being in a Ferrari, because Max doesn't have a quick enough car just yet, and especially we don't know the Honda Red Bull be in 2019, but that's the other option, that he could assert his dominance and just beat Vettel down mentally, this young gun coming in and beating him straight away. And in that case, I think we'll be saying goodbye to Sebastian Vettel very, very soon, because if he once Sebastian Vettel loses confidence and loses the ability and just loses his determination, I think then he could be in a real spiral and in real big trouble, and might even be looking for another seat in Formula 1 as early as 2020. Now, despite me saying that this is a make or break season for Sebastian Vettel, there's only one man that is going to change what's going to happen. There's only one man that is in charge of Sebastian Vettel's destiny, and that is Sebastian Vettel. Whether he comes out and performs and beats Charles Leclerc, or at least matches him and creates a really good driver dynamic where they might even be the best pairing in Formula 1, winning the Constructors and hopefully challenging for the drivers as well in a three-way fight with Hamilton, well, we'll have to wait and see, but he is the one that is in charge. He needs to deliver, and this is where we're going to find out how good of a driver is he really, and he needs to prove that he's not just a 4 times world champion because of the Adrian Newey combination. He needs to prove that he can deliver under pressure up against any driver, new or old, experienced or, you know, not experienced. And yeah, 2019, like I said, is a make or break season where we'll see Sebastian Vettel either rise or fall. But anyway, guys, there you go. That's my opinion on Sebastian Vettel in 2019. But what do you think? I really want to know your opinion, and I want your predictions for 2019 in terms of Ferrari. Save your predictions for the entire season for another video that I've got coming up very, very soon, which will be my 2019 predictions video coming out towards the end of the week. But I want to know what you think about Ferrari in 2019. Who's going to be ahead? Do you think Sebastian deserves to be rated as one of the best, or is he overrated? You know, I really want your guys' opinion on this. So comment anything you want in the box below. Well, almost anything. And yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and yeah, once again, thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to support the channel, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.